Alright guys, so you've got all of the notes memorized on E and A. So the top two strings, and you're feeling like, oh yeah, I got this, I know them, I know sharps, the flats, I know the half steps and the whole steps, I can get my way up those two strings. But you look at the complete neck diagram on this in this lesson, and it's like notes everywhere. If you look at the whole fretboard, you're like, like a lot of all these notes, how am I gonna, how do you know where all of these notes go? I mean, I get confused too sometimes. I mean, I feel for you. I feel like it's confusing. But I use octaves to deduce every other note on the fretboard and to get my way around. So just like I said before in the earlier video, that this part of the neck is an exact mirror of this, we also have a few patterns on the guitar, and they're called octaves. So, for example, this low E is an octave of this high E. So you have a low E, then you have the high E. So you have the A, and you have the high A. You have the A up here. So you know that there are other patterns in octaves, and that's what I'm going to show you here. So first of all, let's start out with I'm going to show you the patterns. So G. If you're here on a G, if you skip down one fret and skip down a string, so skip a fret and skip a string, then you have an octave G. So basically that's a G note. You know that because now you have that memorized from the previous lesson. Now you can say, what is this note? You can back up a fret and an octave, and I guess that's 2 frets, so it's like you're on 3 and you go 4 or 5, so I guess let's call that 2 frets. There's really a fret in the middle, there's a fret between. That's why I think jump 1 fret, but it's really 2 frets. So 3 to 5. 3 to 5. And that's an octave. So you can play octaves, then you can drop down, do that from the A string as well. So if you ask me what this note was, for example, what is this note? It's the 17th fret of the G string. And I'm like, what is that note? What is that note? That note is a C note, and I only know that because I can see it. It's a C here, it's a C here, it's a C here because it's an octave up from there, and it's a C there because it's an octave from there. Okay, so let this sink in a minute. Let's sink in just a minute. So any note that I ask you on, let's say, the D string, you would know. So any note, if I said, what is this note right here? On the D string. So that's not a string that you memorized. It's the 8th fret of the D string. Okay? It's really an A sharp because I have an octave above it as an A sharp. I've memorized the A sharp of the A string. It's that A sharp. I know that one. At least in my DNA now. Like I talked about before, in that DNA you're building as a player, you're going to know, oh, that's an A sharp. That's an A sharp. You're just going to know it. It's just going to become part of you. And when you say, what's this note? You're like, oh, A sharp. Now, I'm going to assume, I've been playing the guitar since about 14 years old, so it's been good 20-some years, over 20 years. And I'm going to assume some guys, they have every single string and every single fret memorized. They just point at it and just become second. I think you can get there. I've never done that. I've always used this octave thing, and I've just sort of deduced the octaves, and I know the notes, and I kind of know some patterns. So if you are thinking that you are going to memorize just by looking and randomly saying every single note on the fretboard, I think it can be done, and I'm pretty sure there are guys out there who can do it. So if you're one of those guys, let me know. If you're watching this on YouTube for any chance, and you think, yeah, I'm that guy, let me know. I think that would be pretty cool. But in terms of beginning and I see the fretboard, I see it in patterns and blocks and relative to other places on the fretboard. So if I see an obscure note like this down here, I'll show you how to deduce that one as well. It's another octave. Okay, so let me just back up a little bit, make sure I don't confuse you. From the top string, you can jump down 2 frets and get an octave. If you're on the A string, you can jump down a string, you can skip a string and jump 2 frets and get the octave. Okay, now, if you're on the D string and you want to jump down to get an octave, you have to skip. So you would have to go from 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you have to skip like skip up 3 frets. Skip a string, skip up 3 frets. So there's 2 frets in between. Okay, 2 frets in between. This is what the pattern looks like. And if you want to get the octave from here, you got to do the same thing. So you basically have the 1 and 3 finger from here, the 1 and 3 finger from there, and then when you go down, you got the 1 and 4 finger and the 1 and 4 finger. Okay, so that's the pattern that it is. So if you asked me, for example, what the 11th fret on the high E string is, then I'm going to tell you that this is funny because I keep in my mind I keep realizing, oh well, the 11th fret of the high E string, you already memorized that because you memorized the low E string, right? So it's a D sharp. You already memorized that one. D sharp E. It's the same here. D sharp E. So you got it so easy, man. You got it so easy. Once you remember the low E and the A, you also know the high E because it's exactly. It's an exact octave. So the A string here is the same as the A string there. So it's up like 2 octaves. Yeah, up 2 octaves. So there's 1 octave up. There's no. There it is. Okay, so I hope you're getting the idea. If it is on the high E string, even better, because you already know the high E. So let's say if it's on the B string, and let's say it's the 11th fret on the B string. You're like, it's 11th fret on the B string. Okay, so I could just go backwards to here, and then go backwards to here. It's an A sharp. So see how I did that? Backwards to there, that's an octave. And then from there, backwards one more time. Now I have an A sharp. An A sharp. It's an A sharp. So this is an A sharp. Now, if you were thinking and your music theory brain's starting to develop and you were like, well, 1 fret back from the B, well, that's A sharp, B, that A sharp. So you can actually, you know that this is the B because it's the 12th fret. You know it's the B string. Okay, so you know it's the B string. You go back and it's the A sharp. Okay, A sharp B, A sharp B. Or what if I said, what is the 1st fret or the 13th fret of the B string? Well, B, C. It's a C. It's a C note. B, C. C sharp D. If you didn't know what the 15th fret was and you were kind of wondering, like, I don't know what the 15th fret is, you can go back an octave, and you're back up to where you do know that that is a D, D sharp E, D. That is a D note. So I am showing you, if you're sitting there going like, what in the heck is he talking about? Like what in the world? Look at this quick memory trick sheet that I have. It shows the octaves of each on the fretboard and shows you how to do it. Now, also look at octaves on the neck, the sheet called Octaves on the Neck. Both of these sheets will help you look at the neck and go, okay, they're just these octaves spreading across all the neck. But remember that in your DNA as a player, you've already memorized. Part of music theory isn't just, part of music theory is complete memory. Okay, part of the music theory skill is complete memory. You have to just memorize certain things, not everything. So if I said you have to memorize every single note on the neck, and I sent you home for like a month, you'd come back like, I don't know. Some people are just not going to do it. They're not going to get there. It's just going to be really hard for them. Other people might come back and be like, I memorized every note, point one, and I'll say it. But I think even if you did that, just memorized all the notes all over, and you're one of those people you could just memorize them all, then what does that mean? Did you skipped over some of the simplicity of the pattern, some of the nuances of how the guitar is laid out. So the guitar is laid out in patterns, and when you hear a lot of people talk about the cage system or all these forms like the 6-1, I'll be talking about 6-1 and 5-1 major and minor forms. Those are all patterns that just get moved around. So it's not necessarily about memorizing just a bunch of stuff. There are, in my opinion, certain things you should memorize, completely concrete into your DNA, and everything else can be deduced and figured and worked on from there. So that's that. I hope that makes sense. And in the next video, we're going to play some power chords up and down the neck just to kind of concrete, put those in your hands, playing some 6/1 and 5/1 power chords to sort of help you understand the root notes of chords and how that the memorizing the top 2 strings will really help you, and it will just concrete them into your brain, and that's what we need to do. So when you're ready, when you kind of feel ready to go on to the next video where we're going to be doing playing power chords, 6/1 and 5/1 forms up and down the neck. God bless you.